Thank you, everybody. Once again, we're back another week with Diametric Convergence. Got a new show for you here. Me and Brandon, once again, on the mic. Today, we have Karol Chin, who is joining us on what should be a rousing discussion of healthcare and other health-related subjects. Brandon, you want to do a little intro?
Yeah, Karol, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It's so great to talk to you as always. I know you have a little bit of background in different healthcare and preventive and just how to take care of your body. So maybe we can just enlighten some people on different ways to do that. So welcome, and please tell everybody a little bit about you and where you're from. Yeah.
Okay. Hi. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's super exciting to talk to you guys for the first time. I mean, well, I know Brandon, but I have never met Andrew yet, so that's exciting. A little bit about me. Well, I have a huge background, not a huge background, but I have a background in health and wellness simply from being sick my whole life. So I think a lot of us come to the field of health from trying to heal our own selves and our own bodies. Sorry,
Yeah,
repeat your question.
I think you brought up an amazing point already, that you went through the pain and pretty much suffering yourself and realized how hard it is to go through these things, and you create a huge amount of compassion for helping people get through these things. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, it's powerful. I mean, within 10 seconds, you already shocked the world.
10 seconds. I wish it was so dramatic. It's so funny. Like, I went to school for food science and then culinary arts, but then my health went into like this extreme shock. It kind of, at 26, when I lost healthcare, the drugs stopped working at the same time. So then my whole world was just completely thrown out of whack. And then at that point, I had to refocus, not by my own choice, but just by, circumstantial. So I had to choose a different way to figure out how to heal. So I'd spent maybe 26 years following conventional medicine and going to a bunch of different doctors and having them tell me to take these topical steroids or take these injections or take these, whatever they gave me. I had no idea what else to do, so I might as well trust the supposed experts. But I realized that following their advice is, when the drugs stopped working, clearly they didn't know what they were doing. So then I had to do a bunch of my own research. So that's how I came to Ayurveda. And I had an Ayurveda consultation, and I followed like the health plan. And then it was actually helping just without, it was actually just helping holistically, just through diet and the health plan, which is kind of like a daily set of rituals, not rituals, but like different things to help yourself holistically. So in order to understand this whole thing and why it was working, I decided to study more about Ayurveda. And yeah, exactly. So I needed, if I don't know what's going on, I want to find out more. So I went to school for Ayurveda. I started studying with my doctor because she had her own school. And then I studied in India with them too. And then since 26, I just spent like 6+ years just figuring out how to crawl out of that hole that conventional medicine put me in. So.
Wow. That's an incredible story, and I feel you on that. I mean, it was similar. Like, that medicine was supposed to be the best and the brightest, right?
Right.
We live in America. We have the best and the brightest medicine, but for some reason, I was put on Ritalin in elementary or middle school, and then Adderall in middle school,
Hmm.
along with antidepressant, because that's just supposed to go
In
with
middle
it.
school?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Even
I remember that.
antidepressants, even before middle school, and I never liked them, so I never took them.
Good.
Yeah, I tried them from time to time because my mom pretty much made me.
Mm.
But after that, I just stopped taking them because they made me feel not who I was.
Right.
And the Adderall really did help me with reading and learning. But there comes a time where you just have to be in your own mind and spirit and body.
Helped us too
Say that again,
when you.
Andy?
I said it helped us too when you shared it with us when we were kids. That was quite the experience. I mean, but it honestly, it was
You
it was
must
oddly helpful too, though.
you must have just stole that from me, but I'm glad it helped.
Yeah, right. Probably just stole it from you. Found your stash.
But I am
Um,
really happy it helped.
Do you
but
think
it did
that
like in a weird way.
the Adderall or the
Are you saying did it help?
yeah, like do you think that you could have well, was it cuz you guys were just really overactive that they gave you those medications?
Um, I think I don't know what it was. It was like the opposite of that. Um, but as I wasn't like an overactive, but my mind would never stop. And I think personally, I after being on that and really studying this, I think that an overactive mind is a great mind. You just have to learn how to tame it.
Right, I was wondering if they just had taught you some sort of like skill or something to help you focus, would that have been better than giving you some pills?
Yeah, but the Adderall definitely taught me the skills.
Okay.
So
Right. So, and I can actually, kind of speak from experience a little bit more because our my daughter actually has been diagnosed with ADHD.
okay.
And so, but we have her on medication for that, and there is an extreme difference, night and day, between her just her behavior when she's on it and then when she's not. I remember the first time we gave it to her, like her ability to focus and actually carry out one task to the next was extraordinary when she, like what I said, when she was on it. Like she would actually like do stuff, and you could give her multiple instructions, like a list of things, and she would do the entire list. As compared to when she's on it or not on the medication, we have to give her constant reminders of what she should be doing, what she needs to be doing.
Totally.
So there is difference, and there's also a difference between that stuff with ADHD and just people who have trouble focusing.
Hmm.
Because ADHD is a completely different thing, and it's not, and there is a thing where they're over diagnosing it. But when it's an actual thing, it's very important that we're able to manage it. Otherwise, like, because it was starting to get to a point where it was affecting her performance in school, not academically but socially, and then
Well,
just because
yeah.
she was constant disruption.
Well, coming from someone that definitely had it and had the medicine and it did help, I think an end date is always the plan.
Ah.
So, how do we learn how to use these skills, how to rewire our brain to do the same things without the medication? Because we don't want to be someone that has to rely on these medications to live our life.
So do you
And
think the medication is a good stepping stone to helping you learn the skills? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it could be a great thing, but we have to know the end date. We have to have a goal of how we can, like you said at the very beginning, Carol, about this, is like, can they teach you things uh, to help with this? Is there different skills that you can learn? And I believe the medication can help you learn the skills, and then you can get rid of the medication.
Hmm.
that's my personal belief. I am no doctor, and
Yeah, I think, yeah,
not
we
for
preface
everybody.
that none of us are doctors.
No,
No.
We,
uh,
like, a few of us are in the health field, but we are not doctors.
not by a long shot. But I definitely have some personal beliefs, like you said, because I've had pain and had sickness in my life, and it's been around me. And of course, I'm inspired to learn and see what I can do to make a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, so like I I got off of it and I feel much better. I found a career that kind of suits my mind, and I'm able to, use my hands at all times doing massage. So it it really is the right profession for me.
Oh, that's perfect.
That is good.
Yeah. So
And I guess if you don't mind, Carol, I'm gonna butcher this name a lot. Arvita, is that
It's okay. Ayurveda.
Ayurveda?
Yeah, Ayurveda. Ayu means life, and Veda is the science of. So
Ayurveda.
Ayurveda, science of life.
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of what I was leading into a little bit. Is for people who don't know, give us a little bit of background on what that is and how and how you practice it, or what practicing that entails.
Sure. So Ayurveda is um, originating in India about 5,000 years ago, and it's believed to be the oldest medical science from which all other sciences originate, like traditional Chinese medicine or even Western Hippocratic medicine. Um, so with that, I could go and butcher the definition, or I can read one from a textbook for you. So let's see. Well, okay, or I can do both. So Ayurveda is um, it's based in health maintenance and prevention, and taking taking like a holistic point of view for your entire life, not just one portion. Like I would say in Western medicine, it seems to be more focused with like diet or medication or treating acute symptoms, whereas in Ayurveda we're more focused on how to keep you in balance. So what are the different things that you can do to keep you from spiraling into illness and sickness? So what can we do before that to maintain your health instead of just waiting to treat it until things go wrong?
yeah,
And
I really
also, I would say with Ayurveda, sorry, that it takes into consideration your entire well-being, your spirituality, your mental wellness. It just combines everything into one system instead of separating it into all these little different factions.
Right. It's like mind, body, soul, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like to put it in a cliche kind of generic term, but yeah. Um, cool. That's and I guess and then just to follow up again, there's like how is it practiced? What kind of things do you do when you're practicing, or what the particular like was like one patient in particular
Mm,
to put it that way? I guess to say patient, not I
well,
don't know if they're necessarily
I know one way.
viewed that way.
I know one way. Isn't like a nutrition plan?
Sorry, say it one more time.
Isn't a nutrition plan one example?
Yeah, exactly. So Ayurveda, it kind of like if you get an official, not official, but if you get like a whole health reading from your initial session, it's it does encompass the diet. Okay, so it's quite broad, so that's why it's hard to tell you like things in a short answer. So each
Sure.
person has their own specific makeup, their constitution, and these different energies in their body. So each person has their own specific formula of what will help them thrive best. So there isn't a one size fits all package, and it's extremely individual. So how do you practice Ayurveda? You kind of need to go to a doctor and they need to read your dosha. Dosha is another, there's going to be so many different terms that I have to explain. But so
Okay, we got plenty of time.
yeah, so the doctor or your practitioner will help guide you. They'll figure out which dosha you are. There's 3 doshas, and you're generally a combination of those 3 doshas. So based upon your readings, like they'll see how you are. Okay, so you have your natural state, and then you have your imbalanced state. So according to what you should be normally, they will help you figure out how to bring your imbalance back to balance. And so, yeah, the different things you can do for that are diet, different daily health practices, and there's yoga and different breathing techniques. There's different. You can even say that there's different sounds and colors to help you depending on how you feel at the time. There's different skincare, there's chakra balancing, there's so much you can do, and there's so much that's a part of this, because it's generally like a huge life overhaul.
Right. It's a way of life, pretty much.
It is a way of life. It is like very in depth.
I've never done it, but I can tell that it's a way of life.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later if you want me to do a consultation for you. Anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to. It's the
They're
right
fun.
time.
I like them.
Yeah. So does that involve a lot of like prescriptions, medications? Does it involve like buying healthy food, cleanses? What all does it involve?
Those are good questions. Depending on how severe your imbalance is, there are different therapies. So I would say if you're really, really out of whack, then we have a thing called panchakarma. Panchakarma is a five therapies for cleansing your body and bringing it back into a state of holistic well-being. But for the person who is not that severe, there are different herbs, and there's specific diets to help you with your different imbalances. I wouldn't really call it medication, because they're just all plants and foods, and it's not like a chemical or drug that you're going to find in the pharmacy. So I hesitate. I guess if you want to think of food as your medicine, then that is the medicine, but it's not going to be like a pharmaceutical drug.
Oh,
yeah.
Beautiful.
Let's see. So are there things it's just like a whole diet plan, like based on what you need personally.
Yeah, that's really neat. I mean, everybody, for serious things, you might need medications, but you might be able to do 75% Ayurvedic ways, and then slowly see how your body reacts, and
Right.
not totally get off all your medications.
Right. I'm not going to say that Western medicine has no validity. I would say that it's really good for acute symptoms. And in conjunction, the two can work together for sure. Like,
Right.
It's not like, even in Ayurveda, like back 5,000 years ago, they do have studies like they have these ancient texts that depict surgery and all these different things. So it's not like we don't agree with each other in these
It
things.
wasn't like this or nothing at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, they were smart.
Yeah, they knew a little bit about what to do.
I mean, they didn't do the right things half the time, but they knew they were onto something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
as far as like I don't know, different ways to amputate or surgeries back in the day. They seemed pretty grueling.
Right. Oof, I don't even know how they your form of research of like, let's not remove this organ, or like if you think about
They used
it.
alcohol as anesthesia, didn't they?
Um, I'm not going to speak to what the ancient Indian text wrote about, so I'm going to hold my tongue on that one.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking even like 300 years, not even that long ago. They were using like alcohol as anesthesia so they could do operations.
And that still sounds pretty painful. Sounds really-
Absolutely. No, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
But that's why, we do have much better healthcare now as far as that. Like if you ever get in trauma or, you know, need something serious, we do have great doctors and great nurses out there.
for sure.
Um, it's probably always good to get, different opinions so you make the best educated decision for yourself.
Hmm. So how did you from the interviewee to the interviewer? How did you move from how did your holistic path happen, Brandon? Like from taking taking your medications when you were young and like antidepressants and Adderall and all these things, and then how did you realize that you wanted to become yourself again?
That's a great question. And it's been a life path of mine. Uh, just very young, I guess, realizing that I wasn't well. It was always my goal to be well. And also, my family has not the best history with health. So I wanted to change that. And I got out to, uh, we talked about it in the first episode a little bit, but I've always, in high school, I took a job aptitude test and it said massage would be the best career for me. And, me and Andrew were like, oh, let's go to the closest one was in Michigan in the UP. And we're like, let's go. And of course, that didn't go that way. We went to Arizona and did a lot, but I got a massage in Arizona and it really just changed my life. And then started getting more massages, more massages. Eventually, I was there 4 times a weekend, and I would go to the school and get like a little cheaper massage, but I would get more and more and more. And it just changed my body so much that I had to do something for other people. So that's just what pushed me. And, eventually, even in massage school, that is a whole life change as well. And you just grow and grow. And then I met Jomar with Seven Healing Stars. That blew up as far as who I met. And I started meeting a lot of holistic healers because it was my job to recruit people and, um, you know, give people offerings at our events. So through that, I had to uh, kind of take it more seriously and learn a ton of different modalities. Not for me giving them, but just I just got engulfed in all of this energy and all this information, and that's where am now.
It's beautiful.
It's awesome.
I forgot
Yeah,
to say that I met you, Brandon, through Seven Healing Stars.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, when Seven Healing Stars first got brought to me, it was basically what we're talking about today, the body, mind, and soul. That's what I wanted to do with massage, is heal the body, mind, and soul. So how do I do that with massage? Well, I have to meet the right people or learn the right things for myself. But I feel if you can put the right team together, we can heal anybody.
That's
or
fascinating.
facilitate the healing because they do it themselves.
Right. Right.
So that's what I'm wondering. Like, Carol? Did you do like classes for 7 Healing Stars? I'm trying to. Was she on there or?
Yeah.
Exactly.
She
So
did.
it was funny because I had
Okay,
just moved to Colorado, and then I'd wanted to take yoga classes in the area. So I read that there was 7 Healing Stars from the paper, and I called the number. Brandon picked up, and he was like, "Oh no, that yoga class is canceled." And I was like, "Huh? I'm a yoga teacher. I will take over. I would like to take over this class." So then we talked, and then I ended up working there, and that was such a beautiful place, and it's like one of my favorite memories of Colorado.
That's why your name looked familiar to me because I did their website. So so I did the website. So I was like posting all the classes and events up there. So okay, that makes sense now.
Cool. Okay, we're indirectly connected too. Then that's great.
Yeah, there we go. That's fun. That's because it's like that sounds so familiar, and then okay, now it makes sense. Putting it together now.
Yeah.
And I've definitely done one of Carol's classes, and she's hardcore when it comes to yoga.
And I would say Brandon is also hardcore at massage too, because I've had you heal me from like crawling on the floor when I hurt my back to being able to walk again within like a week. So that was good.
Oh man. Well, you know as much as me, it's not me. It's just the energy that we tap into through this. Anybody in this field, whether it be Ayurvedic, yoga, all over the board, hypno, I believe we're all tapping into a similar energy, and we're just kind of able to give it away. And I think that's all we're doing when we're quote unquote healing,
Right.
So
that's
I guess that could bring us into maybe the main topic here is since you guys seem to have the commonality between you that kind of the modern medicine world had kind of failed for you two in terms of healing yourself. So you had to seek more, I guess, full body experiences to be able to get to the root of the causes, which I think a lot of people are starting to figure out, I think, little by little. So that's kind of interesting in terms of how we should integrate this stuff into more mainstream thoughts. Like, do you guys think that would be like a good thing to go explore, or like just putting these ideas and practices more mainstream than just everybody throwing pills and surgeries at people constantly?
So I do have something on that. I've also had back pain, and I've taken pills for it, and I got high as a kite. And, it wasn't the high. It wasn't what I wanted.
Right.
I became.
You don't want to get high. You want to get better.
Yeah, and I became who I didn't want. And what I started to realize is that my body hurts because my structure is out of alignment. So first, what I had to do was get my muscles loose enough to even let my bones move. Mm-hmm. And then when my muscles are loose enough, this might take a year or 5 years of massage. And once my muscles, or you do it in conjunction, so you can constantly fix that. So in my opinion, getting adjustments from a chiro is not a horrible thing, but I would say get a massage first. And also what I realized was that the pain pills, they cut off the blood flow. And so what that does is starves the muscle from oxygen, which in turn makes more pain because decrease of oxygen creates trigger points, which are just, which are like knots. So the knots are created by lack of oxygen. So let's get oxygen back to the muscles. And so that's why I believe in Ayurvedic, because it's, talking about food that gets, cleanses your body and gives your body exactly what it needs. They do tests to see exactly what the body needs.
Okay. Are there better alternatives then for pain management and like pain relief? Like what are better alternatives than just popping a bunch of pills and getting like just loopy?
Yeah. And I'm going to let you get back to it, Karol. But real
Yeah, from both
Yeah.
like viewpoints and practices.
I
but
was just gonna say, like, I think it's ridiculous that you have to become smarter than the system that's giving you advice.
yeah.
Like, you just have to. I think it's just such an outrage that you can't. You go to them as experts, and then you have to become more of an expert than they are, because I don't think they either know or care that what they're doing is destroying a lot of people.
I think you're right. Both.
Yeah.
And
That's probably the problem with the for-profit healthcare system.
They profit off of us being sick.
Right.
And real quick, before we get into that, Andrew, you asked other options of pain management. I would say I really like BioFreeze. I don't know if anybody has any bad to say about it. Please let me know if so. BioFreeze, just a cooling option. Also, just any cold like ice. Ice is really good for pain. It resets the pain cycle.
Cool. So, also, how do you feel about the like CBD and cannabis salves and things? Like, I'm a big fan of Mary Jane's Muscle Freeze.
Salves, and also, just smoking weed. It
Right,
really
for pain
management. And then, of course, get a massage. Do yoga, and find different foods, because maybe that pain is being inflamed by certain foods you're eating,
like sugar.
Sugar and bread. I'd say I'm not the best.
All breaks down to sugar.
Okay.
Right, but like let's say like someone like breaks their arm, like that, like eating like less sugar is not going to help them with that pain. But you're saying like marijuana and like things like that, because I mean I've done CBD and I know it helps with pain and general soreness to a degree. And I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here, you guys. So I'm not trying to like interrupt, like tear you guys down, but just for people who are out there listening, like there are definitely tons of different kinds of pain, whether or not it's due to like how your body is processing stuff or what you actually had physical trauma. So there's different pains that can exist. So there are different ways that you would have to approach that stuff, and there's only so much certain things can do. So I feel like maybe you're saying there's a multifaceted approach to how you deal with any sort of kind of pain.
That's key. I'd say you need a multifaceted approach for anything.
Right.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So it's not one option, but I really think that the blood flow is the key, because what it does, when you have a knot, it traps the blood in there. So that blood is toxic and it's stuck in your body. So when you work it professionally, you definitely don't want to work it over 2 minutes at a time. And definitely get, because if you work it more than 2 minutes, then it creates lack of oxygen and creates a bigger knot or just aggravates it. So get someone that knows what they're doing. But what you can do is allow the blood to escape, in turn bringing new blood that's fresh and clean into that spot, which then it can finally heal. So we're getting to the roots of the problems. And that's what I realize, is that the healthcare system that profits off all of us, they don't even know what the root is. If you ask someone at your family practice what the root of this or this, they don't really get to that. If they do, I give them praise, and that's what they should keep doing. Yeah.
I guess what we're saying is like, it's almost it sounds like it's not really their job to actually help us heal. It seems like all they do is create a cycle of addiction for these medications. So how do we bring back humanity to the medical system instead of it being run by big pharma?
Right.
It's a big question.
Stop paying them, maybe.
You take the profit out of it.
Yeah. I agree with that.
How you do it in this country is beyond me. Other than that, I think a complete and abject failure might be one of the only ways, like a shock to the system. I mean, that's how a lot of natural systems work, right? You shock the system and it resets. Not everywhere, but that's sometimes happens. Like any time you have, even like with a computer, how do you fix it? I don't know. Just turn it on, or turn it off, then turn it back on again.
Well,
reset.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Didn't we think Obamacare was the best, right? And obviously it wasn't, because what that was is forcing everybody to use their corrupt system.
You see, not to disagree, because the idea was great. It was tanked on purpose by a lot of what do you call them? Politicians. There's the word. I don't know why it took me long to find that, but some of the parts in it were really great. Like, one of the biggest things about Obamacare that was a big change that needed to happen was that insurance companies could no longer deny people for pre-existing conditions, which was a huge problem. And that's just a completely unfair practice where you so
not, but I don't think personally people need health that they don't need to be in the system their whole life. That's my opinion. So forcing people to pay these high premiums is asinine to me. So
right.
might have done one thing, and that's how it always seems to be. There's that one thing that they did, but underground there's all this other crazy stuff that we didn't know about.
Right. It wasn't perfect, but it was something.
Obama, it's been going on for a long, long time. At least since JFK got assassinated.
Right. And yeah, there are definitely flaws to the system. No system is ever going to be perfect. I think that's what a lot of people have to understand, is like, regardless of who puts together, when it gets put together, and what's inside of it, it's never going to be perfect. But it did offer the opportunity and the ability for, I think, millions of people who were previously uninsured to get insurance and get health coverage and access health providers.
Okay. So I'm looking at it from a different way. Look at it from, I was actually blessed with healthcare as a child and growing up, so that was really great. But look at it like this: people that have not been able to afford healthcare all their life, and then they kind of use holistic remedies, and then they finally go and they get a biopsy, or they get this and they get this, and then they have a doctor now, so then they go in for every little thing, and then they start worrying more, worry, and then you know what is the worst thing for you is stress. So so you go in and they say, oh, you have this, or you might have this, let's go in for this, and now that you have healthcare, they're going in for everything. So I just feel like more people are getting elective surgeries, more people are getting just random stuff just because they have insurance, and I don't think that's the way we should go forward.
Right, but what's more stressful, like having to worry about taking care of the illness you have, or stressing out about if something happens, you have nothing to cover it and you're going to be bankrupt and lose everything? Like, what's more stressful?
Well, that's why we need catastrophic insurance, I believe. But
right,
we really, like Karol said, we're kind of the experts these days. It's not the other way around. We know what's best for our body, and everyone else does out there. Everyone knows what's best for their own body. Nobody else does. And of course, in some situations, you're going to need expert advice. But
I feel like people need like a basic education in taking care of themselves in order to just keep like a baseline of health. Like,
and
Right.
and I did say like everyone knows what's best for their own body. I guess I should say they should know what's best.
Yes,
or they
I
need
was
to
just thinking
learn
that.
or be
If you follow
Just
your
thinking that
heart.
they should know. They should be better educated.
Yes, that's the goal. That
Yeah.
should
Absolutely, I agree. I agree 100% with that.
in place to give people this like basic foundation. That's why you have like all these like food deserts and these like little pockets of the population that just they don't even know how what health is really.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So the first thing is education. We need to educate everyone.
Slowly we're gonna
Yeah.
piece together this an idea.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
write that down. Oh, we got it recorded. Never mind.
Yeah, we're all good. First of all, dismantle and then educate. No, we can't go that close.
Making sure everybody's listening to this because we're gonna figure it out today.
today
We're gonna solve the problem.
Well,
But I think that's
we're gonna
definitely an important
dismantle
part.
the system and then rebuild it from the ground up. We're gonna
Starting with education.
Yeah, education is an important factor because, many don't even know. They're just like, oh yeah, I have this, I have this, I have to go get this, I have to get it cut out. A great example is elective carpal tunnel surgery.
Okay.
I feel like you can get it handled muscularly, and why get cut into when every time you get cut, it can create more problems and
Right.
more inflammation. And once you get it cut, it's never going to go back to normal. The
Right.
only person that knows the normal is the person that cut it. So just know that going into it, it's not going to be normal ever again. It might be out of pain for a while, but what happens is if that muscle goes out, then another part's going to go out. So I'd say take care of the problem muscularly, and that's kind of going to the root structurally. So, yeah.
Right, for sure. So I guess at this point, what do you think mainstream medicine gets right, if anything at all?
Girl, you got this one right.
What do they get right? That's so hard because my mind only goes to where they've gone wrong in my life. Like,
Well,
So like examples like psychology, like talking like therapy and like talking like that. That's kind of mainstream. I would think.
one thing they've gotten okay, but even then, how like within trying to I've only started going to therapy, like, but then you have to go through the process of choosing your therapist, and that is, I find it like the hardest part, even to
sometimes
find
some.
good therapy.
Sometimes you have to fire some, not because they're horrible, just because it's not a good fit.
Right. And like maybe there needs to be more education on how to, actually I am really glad that mental health is such a big thing now, and it's pretty normal to talk about. There's even like a lot of online therapy choices. But maybe there needs to be some sort of guide on how to choose your therapist, and like what do you need from them, and how to find the right person for you.
On the next podcast.
Do you have any therapist friends or like
It'll be a two-parter.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week.
That's definitely a great point, because I have had to fire one and I felt really bad, and they totally said it's all good. It's sometimes that happens.
It's just not.
It might be a male or it might be a female that you want, or whatever it may be, but it's great to talk to people. So I feel that helped me. I didn't want to. Trust me, I barely told them anything. That's just me. I didn't really want to talk about it, but
and maybe also that person wasn't maybe you didn't feel comfortable with that particular person.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had one therapist that I felt really comfortable to talk to, and it was actually a female. It was really good.
Keep her forever then. If you find someone good, I find that they're so rare. I've blown through 4 of them, and I finally, just by accident, found this one wonderful person that I talk to now.
Well, that's great.
That's really good. Because
Yeah,
my whole thing is just
Go ahead,
working the courage up to even start that process. Like, my anxiety holds me back so hard just from because I've been thinking about doing that for years, but just like the thought, even right now, just the thought of like being on that level of openness with anybody, even particularly like even especially a complete stranger, is just terrifying. I know I need to like explore it at some point. I imagine I will, but just that, and that's like the whole thing is like you have to find someone who you're comfortable talking to,
right,
and sharing these things. Like there's some people in my life already who are clearly not medical professionals that I feel very comfortable talking to and getting this stuff out, but I feel that there would be it would be a greater benefit to speak with someone who knows what's going on and how to guide me, I guess, on that particular journey. So that's my whole thing.
Well, side note, what scares you about sharing these things? Like what's your fear with that?
I don't know, just not wanting, I guess just being too open, I guess. That's always been my thing. Vulnerable. Yeah, the vulnerability of it, and just having someone know those things or be involved in that part of who I am.
I think that's a lot of us.
Yeah.
Right.
I was also going to do devil's advocate. Like, well, what's the worst that could happen if they do know?
Right. And for that, I don't know. I could go. I could probably think of a lot of things that my mind would take me to, because that's like my biggest thing is just, my mind will always go to worst possible scenarios, and that's kind of a lot of that triggered my anxiety attacks earlier this year that I dealt with, that were pretty frequent through a couple months. So off the top of my head, so I don't. Yeah. No, I don't know. I guess not. Thinking about it rationally, probably not much. Not really too much bad can happen, or there's not really bad things that could come of it. It's probably only good, but just getting over that hump would be pretty tough, I guess, on me.
But worth it, though, right?
I would think so. I would think it'd be worth it, but just so if I could make an analogy, I'm and without trying to get too graphic, like I don't like to throw up like at all. Like I do everything possible to not do that, but I know like if I were to do that, it would make me feel better, right? So that's the comparison I can make it to.
Okay.
It's it's going to hurt. It's going to be like a bad experience at first, but then once you get over that initial hump of going through that bad part, it feels better. So I can, if that makes sense, if that if you can relate to that kind of explanation, that's kind of how I view it.
Got it.
Well, it's worth it.
How have you been dealing with anxiety? Because I, for the first time, went through a lot of new experiences last year, and anxiety, like having like that, like I felt it in my chest, and I'm like, and sharing that with people has been pretty new to me. So, and then all of a sudden when I started sharing it, then I found out that all these other people have also been feeling this way and dealing with it with, either drugs or who knows what. But I was just curious, like, how have you been dealing with anxiety throughout your life, I guess?
So throughout my life, well, for up until, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I really haven't. I mean, I tried maybe back in 2012, 2011, around that time. I tried to do some medication, My wife's a big believer in medication. It works for her. So obviously, everything works differently for everybody. So she encouraged me to try it. I tried it. Didn't work. I got on, I don't know if it was an SSRI or what it was that I got onto. It was like, I forget, but it made me feel very zombie-like, very, flat and not really anything, which was bad for me because I am a creator. I do creative stuff and write, so I have to have my emotions about me. And otherwise, like, you just can't do that stuff because like creative stuff is, a lot of it's just so emotional. So I always felt like I have to have that range. So that's why I never really did too much about it, because I was always fearful of that exact scenario, just not having my emotional range and being flat and nothing really happening. So I didn't do anything about it. So I just kind of learned to deal with it, I guess, which wasn't super helpful or really that healthy, just because I didn't really know what the cause was. I wasn't really digging down into the roots of it, the cause of it. But it was about 2016, end of 2016, maybe, no, 2017, beginning of that year, I actually got on to CBD, taking CBD oil, and that was a game changer, and that really helped me. And that's kind of what I have been on. I still use it, not as frequently as I used to, because I have bouts that go up and down. But recently I've got back on the medication that is actually really helpful. But early this year, when I was really bad with the anxiety attacks that I felt in my chest, like you said, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I had shortness of breath, and I had these points I broke down, just like crying, and I couldn't go to work, just because my body was just like in I don't know, survival mode or something. And maybe not that, explain it that way, but it was in a different mode of operation is the best way I can explain it, where it was completely different, because like one night I just went home and I was so overwhelmed with everything that was going on. Like I was, just crying uncontrollably. Like I couldn't stop it anymore. It just started coming out. I don't know if you guys have ever felt that. It's not a great feeling. But I went to the doctor this year. And the only way I could really curb it, nothing else was working. Like I tried upping my CBD intake. I didn't smoke, because the night before, like, it really kicked off, I did smoke some marijuana, and I had a reaction that I had never had while I was high before. It was weird. Like I got chills, and my mind, like, it started racing. So I didn't want to like get back into that mood. I didn't want to like get high again, because I didn't know what it was going to do to me, because at that point I couldn't control my thoughts. I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't eat. It's like nothing was working. It was bad. And so I had to go the pharmaceutical route. That was the only thing that worked. I got on it's not Lexapro. Why do I always forget what it is? Zoloft. It's what I am on still. It's like the lowest dosage you can take, but I started that and it didn't work right away. So I had to get on an additional thing that was a little more dramatic, which was gabapentin. And that only worked so much too. I mean, that helped for sure. But the only really thing, and talking this with you guys being so holistic and like nature oriented, like I got some Xanax. And Xanax, I understand like the risks of Xanax and the addictive nature. I mean, it's a narcotic, the addictive nature of it. And I've never really had an addictive personality, so I'm able to kind of control myself around these substances. But it was the only thing that helped. And really, I only used it like during the day, like once or twice, mainly use it to sleep. But like it just didn't, like, nothing else was working, so I had to do that.
So isn't gabapentin a nerve medication?
Nerve blocker?
Yeah. It's kind of, I don't know like the actual makeup of it, because I know there's a GABA supplement that I do take now. But there's like GABA is what I'm talking about. Like it's it's like a neural thing, like it's somewhere in the neural network.
Okay. Right on, man.
Yeah, but then like everything got better, kind of, I don't know, like started getting better. I think a lot of it really helped when I started working at home or from home. It kind of took away a lot of the anxieties, but definitely having all that during like, and then stacking a pandemic on top of it, it wasn't really great either. But yeah, I mean, so right now it's just a matter of medication that's helped me right now until I can work up my courage to talk.
Here, I had to get on like Klonopin, and I've done Xanax, and it definitely works when you're in that serious of panic attacks.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to carry it with you, just to make sure you don't have it.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Exactly. I would carry the bottle with me. I wouldn't need it, but just in case, it made me feel better.
Right. And honestly, I don't know how I got off of it. I might have lost my insurance or just stopped going to the doctor. And then maybe I thought I was getting better. And as we were talking about therapy earlier, like I should have kept going to the therapy and got off the medication. That's the key, in my opinion, because that can't hurt you. I also think can you use vitamins and minerals? Can you get a blood test, and figure out what you're deficient in? And would that help? Because simple thing like taking 5-HTP helps with serotonin.
Mm-hmm.
And even going for a run would help with serotonin as well, and helping you release like all these mood boosting chemicals.
Yeah. Yes.
For sure.
But I'm glad to hear that these medications have helped you be able to resume life and function, instead of, like you said, like just crying and not being able to like go through your daily life.
Yeah. Don't know what I would have done without it, because like it was, I mean, when you're in that situation, like there's no like end in sight when you're looking at it from that position. And when you don't have any kind of hope, like it just compounds the issue.
Mm-hmm.
So finally getting some relief was was monumental, to be able to see some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. So that's why I kind of like to, I guess, quasi defend modern medicine, because I think there are applications throughout everybody, like throughout like the world, where it can, or the human experience or life, health, all that kind of stuff, where it can be applicable.
And then yeah, I agree. And then we go into, when are we getting off that medication? Because it shouldn't be ever a lifetime of medication. Your body shouldn't change so much where if you have to take breaks from the medication. So I'm not saying how to do that. Like, maybe doctors can recommend this sometime, to take breaks so your body doesn't get fully.
Do they not say that to you? Like, do your doctors not bring that up?
Nah.
Really? You're like, nah. Okay.
It depends on what it is too, because definitely there are things.
Medicine.
With what?
I don't think they ever have a end result. Well, I can't say that. Some do.
Right.
But I think that's the difference. If you're doing it to change your chemical makeup and then fix the nutrition part of it, then there can be an end date. But if you only do the one thing, which you're just taking the medicine, that's not going to be enough. Like, you have to reverse why it happened in the first place.
Right.
And your body is obviously telling you something is wrong. So most of the time it comes from foods or environment, from what I know.
Yeah, and one thing that I was wanting to mention briefly in terms of stopping, medication, sometimes it's not always possible because there are genetic things that can be present that don't allow lifestyle changes to fix anything. Like I've been like certain diseases, obviously, mental diseases, stuff like that, you can't stop. So there's definitely a benefit to stopping the medication, but also sometimes it's not always a viable option, I think, from what I've heard.
Well, that's definitely what the doctors recommend. And I just feel like sometimes it's not always the truth. Like just because they don't know the answer doesn't mean that there might be something to prevent that from even happening. So why are we treating, after it? Like mental illness? That's a great point. They recommend not to just stop, but maybe there's other ways that the doctors don't even know, like through nutrition or through these other ways. I feel like some doctors are going that route. I forget the term they use for those type of doctors, but do you know, Carol?
I'm just curious about exploring that field too. Like I know there's Ayurvedic and yoga therapies for psychological imbalances, and I'm very sure that there's a whole world of knowledge out there that we aren't even, like, we've barely touched the surface of. Like I there's information out there that I haven't learned yet. So but yeah, I have a very specific set of opinions on psychological drugs and how they treat them. I think there's such a problem with how we treat mental illness in this country, and I think that most therapies are just made to flatline you so you don't just go run amok on the street and disturb most of society. So, yeah, like the flatlining you were talking about, it's made to flatline you so that you don't go nuts. And it's not to help you build back your personality, it's just so you don't go do dumb stuff. And that's how I feel.
Man, I agree with it.
Yeah, and I mean it's gotten better though. I mean, at least it's not as bad as it used to be treating mental illness. I mean, they just say like, "Oh, too bad, you're crazy. Here's some electroshock, or let's just drill a hole in your head and let the blood out." So I mean, it's gotten better, certainly, but it's certainly still a kind of what do you call? What's the word for it? When it's there's still a stigma attached to it. I'll say that, where it's not taken as seriously. There's people who, you tell them, oh, I'm depressed. Like, oh, just, feel better, smile more and go outside. Like, dude, that's not how it works. Yeah. And one thing I like to really see though, too, is like, I guess not to, try to champion my own cause, but like male mental health. And just having that, because like it's one thing for like a woman to be sad, and if I'm off base here, let me know. But when it's like a male, like he's expected to be like, oh, you can't cry, like you need to be tough and be a man and get over that stuff. Like you don't need to be doing all this stuff. So I think there's definitely different areas that need to be, I guess, taken more seriously than what they are right now for everybody too. That includes everybody.
Yeah, I think not only just mental illness, but we're all emotional beings. So
right. So I think just like letting like people be emotional.
Right, like emotional wellness education. That would be another thing to add to our future.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're covering little by little. We're almost there.
We're building a curriculum.
Couple more shows, we'll have this figured out, and then the world can thank us.
Exactly. Thank you, Diametric Convergence. We appreciate you.
Yeah, you solved the problem.
Yeah. Man, I'm still all over the place. I mean, you're saying I should, you're saying I shouldn't. What should I do? How I mean, how do I know what's healthy and what's not healthy these days?
That's a good question. What is health? Is it a personal?
Right.
Is it
I guess that's great to
individual,
start
or
with.
is it like do we think it can be across the board? Like,
Well, the definition of health is the state of being free from illness or injury. That sounds pretty cool. I want to be there.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
Well, then you have to define what is illness, what is injury.
Is that reaching for perfection?
Well, yeah. I have something on the tip of my tongue. I just can't pull it out.
Oh. Well, what can we do? I guess Karol can ask you a question.
Sure.
Like for learning, like how can we go about that? Like we talked about educating ourselves earlier. What are different ways people can learn about their own health and their own bodies? Like how have you learned about it, other, including the Ayurveda and all that? Ayurveda. That's, I see. I'm told you I'd mess it up, but
No, it's okay. Everybody does. Don't worry about it.
yeah.
How would you? Let's see. I feel like you would start with what interests you personally about health. Like, does or also, it's also easier to start with what's wrong. So what's going wrong in your life, and how would you fix that? Like, is it emotional? Is it your diet? Do you like, maybe that's one way to go for it. What? Repeat your question one more time.
No, that's fine. No, just like how, and continue on with that. Like, how do people even know if it's wrong? Like, what?
Yeah, like
How do they know when it's
how do they know
wrong?
they're not in the right health? Like, for example,
Yeah,
my parents think they're imperfect. They think they know about health, but if you go through like all the health problems in their life, it's almost clear that they don't exactly know what they're doing, even if they think they know what they're
right.
doing. Like my father has just recovered from a mini stroke, but his first words out of the hospital were, "Let's go to McDonald's." Like, these, they think they know their diet, they think they're exercising by just walking, but the results show that they're not. Like, they have all these
Right.
different problems. So I feel like there's a dichotomy between what you think health is and what health actually is, and how do you merge those two into a state where you can achieve like better balance in your life. So, okay, well, how would you go about it? I guess you have to start with
Right.
what interests you, and where you are. Like, maybe you enjoy, maybe you want to know more about cooking or something, and maybe you can learn like better recipes, or maybe learning to plant a garden. That's such a broad question. That's such a
Well, I'll take the other side.
yeah. Please.
Let's go. Let's go with the worst side of health. So that's pain. Right?
Okay.
So how do we, learn about pain? Well, we learn by having the pain.
And
then
figuring out how to overcome it.
Yeah, and then we say, okay, how do we overcome this? And lately, these days we have the internet where we can just go look everything up, and it doesn't mean we always know what's wrong, but I don't know, just how to overcome pain is kind of or having pain is one of the biggest teachers itself. I just think we have to educate people on that there is a way out of it.
Right. Empowering people to figure out their own healing path.
Yes. That's really the only way, right? You have to empower them, and then give them tools. So like you're saying, what tools can you give them? You can give them tools to educate themselves, videos and literature, all kinds of different things, and then actually do the work, actually get the massages, do the yoga. And
so
then,
I guess let me get a little bit more specific for the question then, since it was really broad in terms of people learning. What do you feel would be because in terms of people learning, there are two different ways you can learn, I guess, technically, to make it real simple, like simple. You can either go and read a bunch of books and different like medical things and to get down to the actual science of it, or you can go talk to people and talk to them about their experiences and different things like that. So which way do you feel would be better to approach? Obviously there could be a combination, but learning about these things, how do we go about it like that? Would you think it would be more powerful to talk to people who've been through it, or go out, have someone go by themselves and just learn about the science? I guess the whole point is self-learning. I guess we'll put it that way.
Yeah, self-learning. That one's better. How do we learn about health was really broad. It was really like,
Yeah.
sorry,
To be able to someone to teach themselves or learn on their own about how their body is, or how to like learn more, like should they go like just read stuff that it might be too much for them, or just talk to people who have been through similar experiences?
Even that, I wouldn't consider that a good route either, because a lot of people are wrong about stuff. A lot of people will say they know what they're doing and they don't know what they're doing. So
okay.
You know what? There's a great quote out there that I heard the other day, and Mark Twain made it famous, and it's from Grant Allen, his statement, and it's, "Don't let your schooling interfere with your education."
Okay.
So basically it's saying, don't listen to everybody else about how you educate yourself.
Right.
You can take information from people, but you're really educating yourself at all times. That's what I take from that.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a good advice. I agree with that for sure. Just seeing if we can crack this idea of, since we've talked about it.
It relates to
right. Yeah, definitely.
Right. Because you're saying education and books, but people write those books and people make mistakes, like Karol said. So I'm saying, you have to go from personal experience, and that's the best
right.
way.
We can't just listen to
people.
authoritarian figures.
Say that again, Karol?
I said we can't just listen to authoritarian figures. We've just been,
Yeah. If people have gone through it, I think that's the best way to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that was kind of the question. Yeah, it's like, well, because you can talk to other people and kind of see how they went about it, but I feel like you still need experts out there who have studied these things their whole lives, and they know the ins and outs, and they can at least tell you the why behind some of these things, right? Because that's kind of my big thing. Like, if you know the why of it, then you can kind of approach.
But a lot of these things, they don't know the why. Like, how about cancer? We won't get too far into it, but do they know the why? No, because if they did, they would be able to cure it. Or they're just not telling us.
It's like really simplifying the situation, though. Like, it's not like that simple. Like, just because you know the cause of it doesn't mean you know how to cure it.
It's a start. Because
right, it's definitely a start.
Of the problem. So if you can find the source of the problem, most of the times you can cure it. I choose less invasive ways, like massage and yoga, stuff that you don't have to cut yourself for.
The thing is, with cancer, you can't just say, yeah, we can cure cancer, because every cancer is different. Like, there's different kinds of cancer and the different systems that it infects. Like, there's different approaches and why those are doing what they're doing, because a lot of it is coming from what we eat. like, what we eat, what we take into our bodies causes these problem cells to arise and replicate.
Absolutely.
There
Absolutely.
are they are making a lot of progress though with
Mm-hmm.
treating cancer and things, especially with turkey tail mushrooms for certain types of cancer.
There you go. So
A
that's a
lot of
whole
different mushroom
method
therapies.
rather than invasive or, uh, blood therapy.
Right.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of very deep thoughts on this, and, um, respect to everybody's beliefs. This is just mine.
Right. Like, so in terms of that though, like, I think I'm on, the pay or whatever, the mindset that the current mainstream accepted treatment for cancer is just pumping poison into the body can be,
Hmm.
um is probably not the best way to do it. I feel like the only reason they're still doing it because there's been so many advances like over the last few years that continue to do that ways feels like it's more like a way just to keep the people who produce that medicine to making money, like keeping them making the money that they want to make, and that's why they keep pushing this
Yeah.
treatment, I guess you can call it, but like making people, pumping them with full of poison and then not giving them any kind of relief. You're
Mhm.
like making it worse. Like, why would people want to do that? Like, people just quit doing chemo because it's worse. Like, they just get worse and their quality of life
That's
declines.
that's the only thing I've seen. Um, there have been people that got better, I'm sure. That's why they keep doing it, I guess.
Right. I feel like just the majority of these treatments are done not because it makes people better or because it's like a great way to like cure people. It continues to make people money, and you have like these stories where it does work and they can they use that as their propaganda. I feel like there are definitely way more natural remedies that could be used that are not as invasive, like with, I can't speak on surgery because I know a lot of times just removing it is very helpful if nothing else is working. But even like you said, once you get cut, like that changes things like permanently.
Yeah. So these are all my opinions. I think everybody
Yeah.
has a right to them. And you know, I just feel like be nice to your body, read your body, ask a lot of people from every side. Okay, you've done chemo, you haven't. I'm gonna ask both of you how you feel, and then how did you get better? If you got better and you didn't, or I guess, yeah, if you're not feeling so well and you're feeling better, then ask both of those people the questions of what are they doing. Um, I think it really helps to have a community, and also just hope, and take care of your blood.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think the structure also, like I said earlier, I think the structure also affects the blood. So, um, you know, that's a thought.
So one thing that I really want to see and ask from Karol in terms of Ayurveda is, I lost my question. Shoot.
Sorry.
Because what we were just talking about.
It's not so hard, Andrew.
So like in terms of yeah, the higher kind of power is, I know a lot of that is like the Ayurveda is Indian, um like origin, right? um
Mhm.
so how does that play into those teachings and how that works for when you do a consultation? Is there like a religious aspect to it or like a spiritual aspect to it?
I would I wouldn't say there's a religious aspect to it, but there's kind of an intuition in reading how like what would help a person. Sometimes it's more than just sometimes it's reading the person's aura and how, what would actually help them in their spirit more than just what would help them with their diet. So
What is an aura?
what is an aura? Yeah, how do you read? Because a lot of it's about the subtle energies and the subtle essences of that are underlying your your entire being. Like we could say you are you it's so complicated. Okay, so it's how do we say?
So the aura is basically, I'll just read the definition online. The distinctive atmosphere or quality that seems to surround and be generally by a person, thing, or place. So,
Right.
does that
Like
make
there are
sense?
a lot of different things in play, but as to what you just said before, I wouldn't say there's a religious aspect, but I mean, it doesn't have to if you don't believe in that, but it is based in, here, I'll read my own definition from this book. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So okay. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna read off. So Ayurveda is a medical science, and its purpose is to heal and to maintain the quality and longevity of life. It's an art of daily living that has evolved from practical, philosophical, and spiritual illumination, rooted in the understanding of creation. It offers a profound understanding of each person's unique body, mind, and consciousness, which is the foundation of health and happiness. So it's some parts of it say that okay, Ayurveda defines life as the conjunction of body, mind, and spirit found in cosmic consciousness and embracing all of creation. Ayurveda states that the purpose of life is to know or realize the creator, both within and without, and to express the divinity in one's daily life. According to Ayurveda, every individual life is a microcosm of the cosmos.
Okay.
That's such it's very all encompassing.
So it's looking at things on a much grander scale than like just taking into like not just what you have in front of you, but everything that's going on around you that you can't even see, that you are still interacting with on a daily basis.
Yep.
And like the energies that surround us, because I mean there are things outside the spectrum that we don't see, obviously, but they're still present in our lives. Just we don't know all this stuff. There's stuff just beyond our comprehension, basically. So this kind of seems like a practice to better understand that type of world and how it relates to the human body kind of spirit thing. Am I somewhere on track?
You are on track.
Okay.
You're on track.
I'm just making sure I am comprehending, because it sounds very interesting to me. And just
it is. Yeah. Sorry, it's just a heavy thing to distill in like really simple terms, like to deal with the elements in the cosmos. Like we could, like every cell in the body is a microcosm of the cosmos. So even in each cell, like there are the 5 elements that this entire world is made of. So we have water, fire, earth, air, and ether. So those 5 elements create the different energies and the different forces and everything.
Right. And so then those forces, they play a daily role in our lives.
Yeah. These it's so there are 3 forces, and there's different types of these forces. Okay. But yeah, they all interplay, and they just form the basis of everything.
Right.
And maybe we need like a second conversation, because I could go even off on more tangents. I can go.
Sure, but it's like trying to get like a baseline kind of an overview of it. So then, I guess as someone who practices it and uses it as like a medical science, like you said, to help other people with making their lives overall, I guess, higher quality. Okay. And I lost my train of thought. Shoot.
It's okay.
Yeah, so you're using it to help people. So and I guess you mentioned like reading people's aura. Is that something that's inherently intrinsic in people, or is that something anybody can learn to do? Like, do you have to be a special kind of person, like a special personality or something within you that you can be able to read these auras? Or like I said, is there a way that it's taught?
I would say that you can learn, but it's also developing an intuition on on like the little subtleties that a person is exhibiting that help you pick up on what is going on, like how they act, how they look, even their mannerisms, how they speak, just how they hold their body. It's all a lot of little things that add up to the whole. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So if I'm going to try to, we're going to try if we can do an example. If not, that's fine. But like if someone came to you for a consultation, and maybe they were experiencing some some depression, are there recommendations you would make? Or is that even a question that you could even field at this point? I mean, I know sometimes hypotheticals aren't necessarily easy to answer, but trying to get like a basic idea of things you might recommend to people to help them outside the world of modern Western medicine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, depression's a pretty timely topic. I feel like more people now than ever are more aware that it's a huge issue. Oh, okay. So in my own journey of figuring out how to deal with depression, I've come to realize that like there are maybe it might even be easier to deal with it physically first and then physically in addition to dealing with it emotionally. So maybe by just choosing to force yourself to go running or to do yoga, because that is also like running and yoga have been really transformative for me in just combating depression. And diet, like recognizing where you are baseline, like taking inventory of how you feel each day, and just noting what you're eating, and then being real with yourself about, do you really think those fries are helping you, or like do you know in your heart, do you really think like that cheeseburger is good for you or something, like
Yeah. Like in meditation, they say check in. And
yes, exactly.
yeah. Like
Check in with yourself, check in with someone you trust, or a therapist, psychologist. But yeah, in terms of Ayurveda, there are, well, yeah, a lot of breathing techniques, a lot of yogic therapies. I'm losing my train of thought now, or I'm just trying to dig in deeper.
yeah, we're turning into marshmallows, guys.
Right.
What'd you say? We're turning into marshmallows.
Revert back to my ending.
I guess
just kidding.
basically, best way then is just maybe maybe I can go through a consultation then myself and then experience it firsthand, then report back. Maybe we can go through that.
Good idea. Good idea.
That's not bad at all. Yeah.
I would like that. I would. Okay.
All right.
Thanks. Yeah, I would do both of yours. Oh,
okay.
Well, if you want, you guys get a special diametric conversion.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes. Awesome.
For listening.
I'd like that for sure. I'm sure listeners would appreciate that, because maybe people would be interested in that. We could work something out with it.
Just say.
So like I said, maybe just get a consultation for myself, and then if other people are out there listening are interested in the process, they can reach out through us, and we can get you guys hooked up and get some consultations going, because I know I'm definitely interested in doing that.
Yeah, me too. So if
And I'd
anyone
be
else,
happy to help you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Karol. And thank you for being on with us.
Yes, thank you very much. We really appreciate you being here.
And of course, we
Thank
want
you
to
for having me.
we want to have you much more
Yep.
when we get the topics that arise. I think we got into a lot of fun stuff today, and a lot of deep thoughts can go into this. So
Yeah,
really,
we definitely need to follow up.
yeah, follow up would be great.
We'll get a consultation in, then follow up, and we'll tell you how it went.
Oh,
I don't mind sharing that.
You'll need a 3-month follow up probably to like implement everything we talk about, and then you can see how it changes your lives.
Okay, nice.
So we'll put you on the schedule for
You
3 months.
You just locked it down.
Locked it down. We locked it down. Thanks so much, Brandon, and thank you so much, Andrew.
Yep.
Thank you, Karol. If you want to reach out to us, we're at DiametricCon on Twitter, diametricconvergence@gmail.com. And we look forward to next week. We'll have another great episode for you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, be sure to subscribe on whatever channel you're listening on, so you can make sure you get updated with the latest episodes.